Alright, so in today's video, I'm going to be trying to get this silver Sony receiver just here working, because if you will have seen in one of my previous videos, I was able to get my old black Sony one that was donated by Keith working. So in today's video, I'm going to see if I can get the silver one to work properly. If you've watched the previous video, you will remember that the black Sony receiver didn't pass any signal whatsoever. Turns out someone in the comments was absolutely awesome and told me I just need to use the CD input. So I used the CD input and surely enough it worked. Now this receiver here is really quiet, therefore I think there's something personally wrong with it, because I was using my phone's output and let me just get my phone out of my pocket. I was using the output on my phone here, and normally this thing outputs really loud volume, but someone in the comments said perhaps it was my phone's output not being strong enough for the receiver. So what I'm actually going to do is go and grab a preamplifier that I know is in my cupboard here somewhere. Now I don't really want to open on, there it is, it's right in there. As you can see, that little thing right there is a preamp. It is a tubular preamp, so it has tubes in it. It just runs off 12 volts, so it doesn't really do a great deal, but it definitely amplifies the sound overall. Now I'm also manual focusing this whole video, so I apologize if things are out of focus, but man, it's so fun to manual focus. I can get down nice and close and pop things in focus super close, and you can see there's a Dayton Audio ribbon tweeter there. But anyway, in today's video, we're going to see what happens if I plug in a serious preamplifier into this Sony receiver here and see if we can get some proper volume out of it, or if there's something actually wrong with it. Anyway, I've now got the Sony receiver hooked up here to my Dayton Audio Tower speakers, and on top of it we have the little preamplifier that I was talking about here, which is a Little Bear P5. I'm going to be testing this thing out. I haven't used this thing in ages, so for all I know there's probably a blown tube. But anyway, let's hook this up to the amp. Or actually, I'll test the amplifier first with my phone's output, and then we'll plug in this Little Bear thing. I've got to find a 12 volt power supply to run it off to. But let's see what a difference this thing makes, if it makes one at all. Alright, so I don't know if you can see the screen, but it is displaying auxiliary. We're plugged into the auxiliary inputs here. So what I'm going to do now is see, I've tested it on the CD player input, so I know it's not any louder. And yeah, surely enough, you could see there it displayed volume 60. Very, very quiet. Now, one thing I've also noticed now with my second testing here is that the right channel outputs so much louder than the left channel does. So that could be a possible input issue, or I'm not quite sure. This receiver might actually be done for. But anyway, now it's time. We're gonna hook this Little Bear P5 preamplifier up to my receiver here and see if this little thing here will do anything. Also, I'm pretty sure this thing has some LEDs that make these things glow, which is gonna be cool to see lit up. So anyway, let's see what this little receiver or little preamplifier can do to this receiver. Alright, so on a bad note there, the tubes are blown in this little amplifier. So what I'm actually going to do now is, luckily enough, I have a spare one. So I'm going to plug this in and see if that makes any difference. I don't think it will, but it's worth a shot. I'll only be able to do it in one channel because I only have one spare one. So let's just unroll this thing. We can see here that there's a spare tube. So what I'm hoping is that this one right here will work. But yeah, let's find out. You can actually really quite obviously see the difference between the new one here on the left and the old one on the right. The new one looks so much cleaner, which would make sense, but I think that's why the old one is gone, because I think it actually might be blown. So anyway, let's see if putting one in will give me one working channel. Alright, so there's the song for anyone who was going to comment. Now you know. But anyway, what I've done now is hooked up my phone just here to my Sony receiver over here for Bluetooth audio. And now what I'm going to be using is the output of my Sony receiver on the headphone output as the preamplifier for this Sony receiver over here. So hopefully this enables us now a much louder sound, and we'll be able to see if it's something wrong with the amplifier or if it just needed a really strong signal. Alright, so the Sony receiver does live. It just needs extremely strong signal to make it do anything. Alright, so I ended up hooking up a mixer to the Sony receiver here to see what we could push as far as power into it. And I'm glad I did, because now I know that the moment I've done that, the room is filled with this smell of burning electronics. So there's obviously something quite significantly wrong with this Sony receiver, and that's why it requires such a strong input. Let me just turn this music down. That's why it requires such a strong input to do anything, and then when you give it that strong input, it just doesn't like it one bit. And there's obviously something majorly wrong with this receiver that I am not going to waste a penny on. So this one's going to go and in the bin, whereas the black one that's on the floor over there that you cannot see, I will be using out in my garage. I've really nailed that focus then. I'll be using that out in my garage to power speakers out there. So let's go and have a look at the garage system and play around with that for a little bit. I'm thinking about using these AcuSound speakers here purely because the ones that are in the garage at the moment are 4 ohms, and that receiver takes a minimum of 8. So you can see here, the AcuSound speakers might actually be the solution for this this little change up here. So anyway, let's go take them out to the garage and demo and play with some stuff out there and see what the best solution I come up with is. Alright, so I lied. I'm not going to be taking that out in this video. I'll save that for another video. The intention of this video was just to prove to you that that silver Sony receiver does have issues. The TAC was terrible. The silver Sony is got some sort of issue with it, and the black Sony is going to be working, just because people were getting a little bit annoyed that I was throwing things out just to justify why I'm doing it, because they aren't working or they are just terrible. But the black one I will be using in the garage, but I will also not be doing that right now in this video. For one, this video is dedicated for just getting that thing to work, and second reason, number 2, is that I actually have intentions of using an active subwoofer out in the garage, in which I don't have. So anyway, if you guys have liked this video, let me know with a like on it. Subscribe to my channel down below if you haven't already, and make sure you guys stick around for some more videos, because I'm gonna have some pretty sick videos coming soon. But anyway, with that being said, I will catch you guys in the next video.